Good evening and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Dressick from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, and here's your other host,
Christina Pasonic. I am coming live from Wheeling, West Virginia. I had to look around just to make sure where I was. I've been in a lot of places over the last couple of weeks, but I am in Wheeling. How are you, Damian?
I am fine, thank you. I am enjoying the change of seasons, although I have to admit I have been finding it to some degree enervating.
Oh, well, change. It has a good effect and a bad effect, but usually when those things come together, something good happens. We create new things, right?
Good to know. Thank you.
Well, that's how I see it. That's my philosophy of the day.
All right. So wait, we've got actually kind of a special occasion tonight. This is our very, very first and only so far WANA Live guest who's been on more than once.
That's correct.
So who do we got for the folks?
Tonight we have Megan Schreiber-Carter, and she is a third-generation native of Northern Appalachia's Pennsylvania Wilds region. She's an award-winning writer, editor, and content creator for clients, including book publishers, universities, news outlets, organizations, individuals, and networks such as Discovery and National Geographic. Her mostly true stories, articles, and blogs may be found at megansdesk.net. Today, Megan reads for WANA Live from her lively news story, The White Devil and the Twisted Young Owl. In this beautifully illustrated, mostly true wildlife story, three old friends find adventure, humor, and hope as they try to save a twisted young owl in Washington, D.C.'s area woodlands. So,
why don't we bring out Megan?
Hi, Megan.
Good evening.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Christina. Hi, Damian. It's nice to see you. Thank you for having me back to read.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
You had a powerful ally and supporter who lives in my home.
I met Damian's daughter at an author's event. She was 10 years old at the time, and Ondine, I was very impressed with this young lady.
Yes. Yeah. She was saying, you have to have Megan on. You have to have Megan on.
She and I got a kick out of each other. We were on a porch together, an old porch, and the book, my first story, is about an old house. So she read some of it. We had a good time. We had a good time. So it's nice to be back, and I'm here to talk about a story tonight. So shall we?
All right. We're going to disappear, and we'll be back shortly.
Okay. All right. I'll see you soon. I'll take them from here. So normally I would start you with the front of the, let's see if you can see this. Let's see, The White Devil and the Twisted Young Owl. It's a little hard to see it. I'm sorry about that. But I want to start with the back because I want to read to you just this little bit up here to start with. Many miles of woods grow inside the D.C. Beltway. The forest here along the Potomac River is home to a variety of wildlife, including the humans. And so here we go. And I'll take you inside the book. And actually, I'll show you a page that has, here we go, a little less graphic on it. So you can actually see the art while I'm reading. So here we go. Let's see how that's going to go. All right. You ready? Let's do it like this. This first section. And so you'll see here comes a man onto the porch. And there's some feet down here, a man and a woman, and a couple of drinks. So, kicked out of complacency. The White Devil wound down his whirlwind where the woods ended and my porch began. In one final bound, he stepped out of his whirl, his foot hit the floor, and he was on the porch with us. Big chest heaving from obvious exertion, his brow flushed and furrowed. He shifted into the shade, escaping the summer afternoon sun. He sure was winded. Pressing his backside against the house, he braced his hunched torso with his hands on his thighs. You two gotta come with me, the devil managed to insist to the floor where he'd fixed his stare. Overtaxed as he was, he'd still kept a hold of his single-minded approach to attaining his current goal. a hulking Latvian American by birth, an instinctual outdoorsman, a mighty hunter, and a Harley rider, the devil also had grown up tuned in to the 1970s DC ghetto culture. All this showed as his keen blue eyes rose and scanned the area. His eyes landed and locked on the place where I sat with our old friend Sterling. Always gentle Sterling, and I looked up at him from our near beers, served in honor of Sterling's struggle to stay off the sauce. We just had a toast to Sterling's success at avoiding what Sterling called his next romantic relationship. Unfortunately, Sterling hadn't found luck and love in his life. Both barefooted and Aaron, our dogs. He and I had been peaceful here without the devil, but now here he was, irked and poking us. The devil was into something. He was on to something. He desperately wanted to be talking. You could see it in his fierce glare, but instead he dipped his head and slid into a bit of a squat, still trying to recover his breath. Slowly, Sterling turned his weathered face, well wrinkled from sun and booze, towards me. Sterling raised an eyebrow. He eased off the cap of his next near beer and enjoyed a swig. Otherwise, we didn't budge. We were used to the devil's impulsive calls to action. The only thing new here was his lack of breath. So I wasn't worried about the devil, and neither was Sterling, who was often a good gauge of emergency situations. Not only was Sterling a battle-weary, grounded medevac helicopter pilot, he was also the son of a reverend minister. Can you still see? There we go. Also the son of a reverend minister. He and I had been sitting discussing life, his always draped in melodious Tennesseeisms. I'm going to take this down for a little bit. We'd been deep into our ongoing efforts to exercise our own demons, aiming to find some meaning or hope that helps make some sense of things until now, until the appearance of the white devil, who we also call our old friend Eric, and who I also call my brother-in-law. Eric's sudden appearance is rarely unexpected. We all know he tends to show up instantly. These days, a sighting was even more likely since lately Eric had taken to running off some of his excess energy along the deer trails through my neighborhood. "There's this owl!" Eric spat in a rush of breath. "You gotta see him!" Then there he was, breathless again. Sterling grinned tolerantly, gently nodded his great head of dark brown and graying hair. I grinned with him. Sterling was gracious company. He had a way of being decent. It's just nice to be around that. He even smelled great. He wore the best deep cologne. Many times, giving him a hug, I'd told him, "You smell great." I'd seen other women say it to him too. He always smiled pleasantly and usually moved on to his charming habit of looking attentively into your eyes when he spoke to you. This was the same charming way his late father had had when speaking with others, and Sterling, named after his father, as the fourth of his name in this family's line, actually enjoyed sitting and having good, earnest conversation. So what's not to like? Eric tried for a deep breath, but got only a bit. "Water, Eric?" I asked, pulling a bottle from my bag. He nodded, reached out, grabbed it, got a sip, got another bit of breath, got in another sip. Then he dipped his head again. We call Eric the White Devil, not because he's a bad guy, not really, but because an elderly lady semi-affectionately dubbed him with the title, and it fit all too well. Not only his very white appearance, but also his sometimes questionable morality and his devilish tendency to laugh without regard at human failings others do not find funny. He's even been known to tempt others' vices, taking pastries to fat people, cigarettes to smokers, insults to the irritable, hard liquor to heavy drinkers. Some quirk in Eric compelled him to find sport in the weaknesses of others. Eric looked up. "You two don't get it," he burst out with frustration. "It's weird." "What's weird?" Sanford asked evenly in his caressing Tennessee tones before taking another clean sip, despite today's relatively mild tremors in his hands. The owl, Eric boomed. He stood up. He huffed out used up air, was obviously irritated by our passivity. I settled more comfortably into my chair. To conserve energy, to prepare for the campaign Eric would now wage. I pointed Eric's attention to a folded chair he might want. Ignoring me, Eric still stood, still wild-eyed, still catching his breath. He was a handsome devil. They both were. God help the two of them and all the women of the earth. More than just easy on the eyes, they were also the worldwide children of attractive, bright parents who'd found success in the capital of the U.S. just a few miles down the road. To meet the two of them, though, you'd never know they'd grown up together in D.C. because they both tended to country ways. These were somehow left over from their grandparents. We three shared country ways, but I was the only one of us who'd actually grown up in the country. Eric took in 3 deep breaths. The last one came out evenly. He now had a hold of himself. Listen, he insisted. I was jogging on the trail along the ridge by Cabin John Creek when right out in front of me runs this fox, middle of the afternoon. So I look around and I see these 2 owls flapping, screaming, scaring it off, you know? Sterling nodded politely as we listened to Eric's rapid, spirited tale. Eric almost whispered this next bit. Then, there he is, on the ground, this young owl, big, like not a baby, but not an adult, you know? And there's something weird about him. Deadly serious and clearly stumped, Eric stared at us in silence. I don't know, I said. Some kind of owl distemper or rabies, maybe. Fear alone. No! Eric yelled, loud enough to be heard for a quarter mile. The owl's twisted somehow. He was kind of looking at me, but his head's all cocked. It's upside down. It's not normal. And so, since time is short, I'm just going to tell you that, yeah, they went into the woods. And when they were in the woods, one little bit of dialogue so you can get a sense for this. Of course, the white devil's up ahead, and he's telling them, come on to these 2. And then you hear, oh, Sterling groaned. Sterling stopped and looked down at the tangle of brush raking raw the sides of his high-end street boots. He pulled loose, cursed, damn vines and poison ivy under his breath, and stepped much more carefully. Eric stopped, just long enough to yell through the woods, come on, Sterling, you lazy bastard. Stop swishing through the woods and get over here. Why did we even bring you? So it goes on like that with the snipping and the snapping between the friends. But here, I'm going to show you 2 pictures and wrap it up. One, I hope I can get it up on the screen here. You saw a little bit of this on the back cover. This section is called Fending Off. This is an attacking owl, and you can kind of see there's another one ready to come at it in a staggered attack. And then this last picture I'm going to show you, you'd have to really be reading the story to see it because I haven't released it, but here's a picture of the twisted young owl. It's an illustration, of course, of it, and it's a little backward because of the screen, but you can see where the head is and how it's set up. And in order to find out what happened, how the owl became this way, and what happened to this little creature, well, then you need to read the story. So thank you for listening. It was fun to read to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing the hosts again.
That was really fun. I really love that.
Oh, well, thank you. I did my best, you know. It's one thing to write it. I heard somebody recently say that writing is a conversation with yourself. And I think that that's true. And then when it's on the page and the words, and you have to, you know, speak them, do what you can to make the conversation live.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you're boring yourself, you know that you're not doing a good job, right? So you have to go back and rethink it. So, and there's nothing boring about the story you just told. I want to know what happens.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Of course, that's the goal, to leave you on a cliff. So then you have to go and read the story.
Like P.T. Barnum, always leave them wanting more. I think that's who said that.
There are worse things than that, right? Leaving a situation wanting more, especially a family visit. That's how I like to leave family visits, wanting more.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. No, it was like the electric Kool-Aid owl test.
Thank you for saying so. I had the worst time finding the right illustrator for this story. I went through a few of them. I talked to an elderly gentleman who was really accomplished, and he did all these fabulous drawings. And when we were talking, he said, "You want me to draw a picture of an owl that's in your head?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "No, I can't do it." And then I talked to another one, and he was great, very accomplished, but he kind of flaked on me. And then there was this young woman in her early 20s, and one of the drawings she did was in the woods, and it was some anatomy, and I thought she can do it, and I think she did it.
And what's her name?
Her name is on the inside cover. Her name is Erin McChesney, and she did the work, and I'm very grateful to her, and she was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to work with her. We worked for a long time together on it.
That's wonderful. Do you feel like did you change anything after you saw her illustrations, or was she pretty good at reflecting what you said?
She was relatively young, so she was open-minded, and I mean, she was great. She got these bottle caps in. You can't really see them here. You can see them. Let's see. I mean, when I told her, we were drinking the near beers, and yeah, can you see them on that one? Yeah, she got them in, and I think she did a good job with the feet and the action of it, and that's him in sort of a Tasmanian devil whirlwind, because that's how that guy is. This is a mostly true story. I mean, this is pretty much true.
No, it's like a Jenga tower of multivalence.
I don't even know exactly what that means, but it sounds really great.
He does that a lot.
Megan, where is the easiest place for people to get a hold of this book?
Thank you. Readers may find, I have a note here, The White Devil and the Twisted Young Owl as a paperback, as an ebook, at Watershed Books in Brookville, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And on Amazon, and through megansdesk.net, which is my site, which will link you. And it's 45 minutes to an hour, just like the last short story. It's part of the series, the Mostly True Short Story series, which seems to be a good length for most people, I'm happy to say.
Yes. Well, we do. Speaking of the Watershed, they have commented, they've been watching, and they said, "Congratulations, Megan. Wonderful reading." And I want to give a special shout out to them while we're on the air, because they are opening the Watershed in a new location, a bigger location in Brookville, just down the street from where they are. But I have seen pictures of the new location, and it is magnificent. So when you stop in, you can buy a copy of Megan's book, and you can go in and visit. They've given us the address. I know it's Main Street. I never get numbers right.
194 Main Street, Brookville, Pennsylvania, and they are saying that they love Megan.
Yeah. Well, opinions differ depending on who you talk to. But I'll say this, Sarah Rossi, who I think may be the manager. Anyway, she's also a very talented graphic designer, and she did the layout for this story. And she did a magnificent job. So it was a pleasure to work with Sarah, and I look forward to seeing them again soon. It's a great group. There's a strong literary course in this area, and they're feeding it. They're great.
Well, I think that is one of the best things about opening your doors to other people. You have people who are helping you illustrate books and doing layouts and helping you with cover design and promoting your work, and opening bookstores in bigger locations like the Watershed is. Their brand reopening, I suppose, is on Saturday. So you'll have to come and see them. It's supposed to be a beautiful day, and I can't think of a better way to spend it than with the great people at the Watershed. You also had one more comment, and this is from Bart. He's a regular watcher of the show, and he has also been on the show, and he says enjoyable reading. So he must have really liked what you had to say. So
thank you, Bart
from Pittsburgh.
Bart from Pittsburgh.
Speaking of the Watershed and things watershedy, Next week, we are bringing you Wayne Swanger. And Wayne's, he's a poet, and he won the inaugural Watersheds Publishing Imprint Contest. So he's going to be reading from the book that won that contest, which is called Fields of His Heart. So Wayne is going to be our guest next week.
Yes, looking forward to it. It's a big literary world, but it feels like family when you know everybody like we do. So it's all good. So we'll see everybody next week. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to come and visit you, and I feel so welcome. So thanks so much, and bye for now.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. See you next week.